All right, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Let's go. We back. We back in the lab. Let's see what we got in the chat. I finally got the view counter down in the corner, way over here. Yeah, finally working. Last stream it was not working for some reason, but we are back, baby. Took yesterday off. Had to had to go pick up a nice little package. It's kind of cool. Oh, what's up? Interesting. So I have two different chats going. I have my YouTube chat, and then I have my stream chat, because it's multi-stream. I'm on Facebook as well. And it says, I don't know if you typed this in, but shout out for you to for being here. It said, welcome to Get Your Fix with Wicks. Subscribe to this channel to help get to 500 subs. We're getting there. We're at 259, one sub away from 260. That is our goal tonight. So if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do here, we talk all things NFL related. If that's something you would like, consider hitting that subscribe. Be much appreciated. Also, drop a like. We're about to get down to business. What's up, boxing? Appreciate you. I did earn a day off. I didn't want to, but I really wanted to pick this up. So, had to flex a little bit. I thought there was going to be a lot more to talk about today, to be completely honest. But, I mean, it's about the same amount of news that we've talked about for the past week and a half, 2 weeks at this point now. So it'll be another hour and a half, basically, somewhere around there. See if we can spark some discussion amongst you guys as well. And just have a blast, man. We will just have a blast talking about some NFL football. What has happened? New faces and new places. Oof. Should be a good one. All right, this song, I believe, is almost over. Boom. All right, we'll pause it. All right. Before we get started, shout out to everyone who is watching currently and whoever joins, obviously. Make sure to subscribe. Drop that like. Lots to talk about. Last week was a busy one. This week was still a busy one. It's kind of entering that period of where the NFL is slowly dying down. Not necessarily the NFL, but free agency. The free agency period is dying down because now teams are starting to gear up for the draft. Who are we taking number 1 overall? Who are we taking number 2, 3, 4, 5? You get it all the way through 32. That is kind of what they're worried about right now. At first, the first week and a half, about till Wednesday, was where teams were like, okay, let's get some missing pieces here, and then we can fill the rest in come the draft. And I think it's finally died down just a little bit. But there's still a bunch to talk about. There's still signings that have happened. There's still going to be signings that need to happen this weekend. We will not be live tomorrow at all. We will be live Sunday for sure for the XFL game, which is... I moved everything around, so it's going to be kind of hard. There it is. Okay. I believe there's 2 games Sunday. One at 2 p.m. Yeah. There's only 1 game on Sunday? What? All right, so there's 1 game on Sunday. That's at 2 p.m. The San Antonio Brahmas, Arlington Renegades. So we'll be doing that one for sure. And we'll be doing that Monday night stream instead of a live show, which is that'll be interesting. But I like the XFL. I'm pumped for it. But we got to talk about the NFL and what has exactly happened yesterday, or basically since we left the show on Wednesday up to this point. Okay, and then at the end of the show, we'll kind of go through Twitter again to make sure we didn't miss anything, just like we have in the past for the last couple times. So let's start right off the bat with the Green Bay Packers basically re-signing linebacker Justin Hollins to a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. He is coming off a season with about 3.5 sacks. Now, he started the year off with the Los Angeles Rams, had 1 sack with them. Then he comes over to Green Bay where he has 2.5 sacks. Now, with Green Bay, he only played 6 games, but it looks like he played all 16 out of the 17 games he ended up playing of the season. So not a bad linebacker, not a bad addition to the Green Bay Packers. This is basically just a depth piece add, I think. Unless they do need help at linebacker. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm just going to go look at their depth chart because they have Quay Walker, but I'm not too familiar with their roster, and I should be. That is my fault. But if I had to assume, this is just a depth piece ad for Green Bay, just in case somebody goes down. Nice, it's loading pretty quickly. I say that now, and it's gonna. Okay, so yeah, they're fine. They're fine. They got what is it? Preston Smith, the weak side linebacker, and then you have Devondre Campbell, left inside linebacker, and then you have Quay Walker, right inside linebacker, and then strong side linebacker is Rashawn Gary. So Green Bay is just fine at linebacker. This is just basically a depth piece ad, 1 year, $1.2 million or whatever the case may be. So good for Justin Hollins coming off 3.5 sack season. No, that's not bad at all. I think that's a perfect price, especially for a guy that had to come in and step up in a big way for Green Bay last season. Justin Hollins gets signed. What was that? That was basically, I think, Wednesday night or Thursday morning, whatever the case may be. But yeah, good for Green Bay, man. All right, moving forward. Another signing, or I guess not really a signing. We knew this was already happening, but just now the compensation kind of came out. Cowboys running back Tony Pollard signed his franchise tag and is due $10.091 million this season. Not a bad chunk of change, if you will. I believe the franchise tag is whatever the vet minimum is at that position, right? So they take all the vets' contracts and then they kind of, add them up, divide them by however many there are, and then that's kind of the number that you are. That's the vet minimum for a running back, $10.091 million. Now, they do have until July 17th to negotiate a long-term deal, so they still have some time. I could see it happening. I really could see this happening because Tony Pollard proved last season that he is going to be the starter moving forward. He's better than Zeke. He's their best running back on the roster. I think Jerry Jones will take pride in that, pride in finding this man, and give him the opportunity to actually be the Cowboys' starting running back this season. It'll be interesting to see how it kind of goes, right? Because do you want to negotiate a long-term deal with somebody that, yes, you've seen what he can do, but you haven't seen him out the gate. You haven't seen him start multiple games at all, like throughout a season. So if we look at Tony Pollard real quick and what he's been able to do. So last year he was a 1,000-yard runner, okay? And that's because Ezekiel Elliott, he went down for a couple games. Pollard came in and just absolutely flourished. He showed why he's a starting caliber running back in the National Football League. He had 9 touchdowns last season as well. 193 attempts. Every single year that he's been in the league, which this will be his 5th season, he has progressively gotten better. Like, legitly. In 2019, 455 yards, 2 tutties. 2020, 435 yards, 4 tutties. Then in 2021, 719 yards, 2 tutties. I believe Zeke was just fine. And their team, that's when Dak Prescott had that gruesome ankle injury. Everyone was like, ooh, what happened there? But yeah, and then last year, 1,007 yards and 9 tutties. So Tony Pollard is a dog, if you will. And I'm glad the Dallas Cowboys decided to roll with him instead of Zeke, because Zeke, we've seen his production slowly get worse and worse and worse. And it's like, okay, when are the Cowboys just going to, pull the plug, get him out of town, or are they going to just bench him, make him the backup running back? They decided to let him go, let him walk, and he has the opportunity now to kind of seek other areas or other teams to go play for. Yeah, I think he will as well. I think Ronald Jones will get plenty of snaps, but at the same time, I think it's going to be completely the Tony Pollard show. Just from looking from the outside in, it's going to be the Tony Pollard show. And I love Tony too. I think he was a dog. Like I actually, what was it? I can't remember what game it was where he had 100 yards, like back-to-back games. And I was like, why isn't this guy starting every single game? And then like as soon as Ezekiel Elliott comes back in, they're like, oh, Zeke, you're the starter because that's what we promised you because we drafted you and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, cool. But would you rather have more production, better production out of your running back or your backup running back, or would you rather have, some subpar production out of your starting running back? I think that's an easy decision, right? That's a pretty easy decision, pretty reasonable decision to be like, oh yeah, Tony Pollard's the guy. Well, they finally did that this offseason. Tony Pollard signed his franchise tag. Remember, they had to do a lot of salary cap clearing this offseason. Dak Prescott restructured his contract. There's a couple other people that also restructured their contract to kind of clear up that cap space a little bit, so they're able to sign their draft picks, more free agents, more free agency addings, and stuff like that. So Tony Pollard and the Cowboys actually have until July 17th to negotiate a long-term deal. By the look of his stats, if he continues to do what he's been able to do, I don't see why you wouldn't extend him long term. But maybe the Dallas Cowboys are thinking, okay, let's ride it out. Let's ride it out because I think he's on his last year of his contract. Let's see. Yes. Oh, so basically this franchise tag was because it was his last season. Had the 4 years or 3 years, and then he can get franchise tagged or whatever the case may be. But next year he's an unrestricted free agent. Excuse me. So they could negotiate a long-term deal, but you could also look at it as like a prove-it year. But at the same time, I think he's proved enough. So it's like let's give this man a 3-year contract. Okay, 3-year contract. Make him what? God, what would you guys give Tony Pollard? Hey, I appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you so much, man. I love doing it, so it's been a blast. It is a blast. I appreciate you watching, my guy. But what would you pay Tony Pollard, do you think? Because if you look up average running or NFL running back salary, 20 NFL running backs make at least $4 million in average salary per year per over the cap, which is a site that tracks NFL player contracts. 8 of those at least make $12 million. So you're looking anywhere from $4 to $12 million. If he's a starter, oh man, wait, you'd have to give him what, $6 mil, $8 mil? I'd probably pay Tony Pollard $8 million a year. So you're looking at a 3-year contract, $24 million, maybe $25 to kind of make it a little bit more, glamorous, or something like that. But then you'd have to, how much guaranteed would you give him? You wouldn't give him too much guaranteed. You'd probably give him what, out of that 25 mil, you'd probably say, okay, we're going to give you 16, 18 million, for fully guaranteed or something like that. But I think 8 million sounds about the right area or the right type or right size of contract that you would like to give Tony Pollard, especially a guy who's, proved his worth, proved that, hey, I'm capable of being a number 1 running back in this league. I just need that opportunity, and Dallas is giving him that opportunity right now. So the guy they released, Ezekiel Elliott, right? We all know there's going to be a market, and we knew there was going to be a market for Zeke, okay? Let it eat a little bit, because he's still a solid running back. You can't hold that against him. He's still pretty decent. Yes, he's decreased in numbers in his production and stuff like that, okay? But he still has value in this league. Running backs, you can find it. They're a dime a dozen. You can find anyone, anywhere, and be like, you want to play running back? They're like, yep. They're like, okay, sounds good. Here you go. Here's your job and stuff like that. But Zeke's a proven vet. He's been there, done that. He just needs a change of scenery, and I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Sometimes in the National Football League, you see guys, okay, start on a team, they look like shit, okay? But then all of a sudden they leave, go somewhere else, and they flourish. They just look completely different. They get back on the right track. They're starting to have 1,000-yard seasons. They're getting 10 to 15 touchdowns a year. Things are looking good, right? And that could be the case with Zeke. It could. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I think it could be the case. Now, he has officially narrowed down where he wants to go, or he's narrowed down his options for teams that he would like to play for. And this is a tweet from Adam Schefter that basically says, Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott has narrowed down his options about where to play. The Eagles, the Jets, and the Bengals. And he would like to make his decision about where to sign by the end of next week, per sources. Okay. I didn't even read that last bit. I just wanted to see the teams and kind of just said, yep, this will be perfect to talk about today. But by the end of next week, we should know where Zeke wants to sign. That's pretty cool. All right, and then it follows it up. Eagles once signed a former running back, DeMarco Murray, after the Cowboys let him go. Aaron Rodgers would be a lure to the Jets. Joe Burrow was at Ohio State in 2015 when Zeke was there. So this is all kind of making sense a little bit. Plus, Ezekiel Elliott, he said, I'd love my number 15 back, please, and thank you. So he wants to wear number 15. Great, we got it. Hopefully it's available on the team you go to. But those are the three teams: the Eagles, the Jets, the Bengals. Now, of these three, it has been stated to me or been shown to me. This was per the Gridiron Blitz Detroit Lions syndicate host Derek. He sent us a picture, and this is from Bleacher Report or something like that, one of the high marquee insider apps or whatever. It says the Bengals are linked to Zeke since he is looming large around the league as a contender to sign Ezekiel Elliott. Now that makes sense, yes, sort of, because you have Joe Mixon. Okay, the Bengals have Joe Mixon on their roster, and you're telling me they want to go after Ezekiel Elliott. Now I'm not saying there's an issue with that because we've talked about it in past shows before, when I was when I was streaming in front of nobody, basically. But I've said, look, the NFL, you need two dynamic running backs in rotation. You do. Okay, you need a guy who's a bowling ball, who's just going to run up the middle, get you a couple yards here and there. Then you also need a very elusive guy who can receive or who's a receiving/running back. Okay, can get the job done. He has burners. Once he gets in open field, see you later. How you doing? Keep it moving type of that. Because as much as the game is moving towards a passing offense, right, a passing league, you still need that running back or those running backs to control the time of possession, control the clock. You need them in a big way, right? So Zeke to Cincy would be okay. I could deal with that. I could definitely deal with that. I think it'd be a nice choice. The Eagles, I don't think that's going to happen because it sounds as if, I remember reading a tweet where it's basically said, they are good with the running backs they have right now, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but it would be pretty interesting to see Zeke in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform, division rival, going over there. That'd be kind of crazy. The Jets would be very interesting as well because you do have Breece Hall, and they just re-signed Ty Johnson, one of their backup running backs, for another year. So I don't see this playing out in that way, I guess. So I think we can assume, I don't even know. You can't assume nothing. All three of these teams, they have running backs. They don't have any void at the running back position. So do they want to add Zeke? And if they add Zeke, is he willing to be the backup? That's the biggest question. Because either of these three teams, well, Philly, he'd probably be the starter. They do have Rashad Penny. So Rashad Penny, Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, never mind. Maybe the Eagles make a move. I think they should. I think Zeke to the Eagles would be good. Okay. Where'd you hear that from, Boxing? I mean, if you don't remember, that's totally cool too. But now that I'm thinking about it, the Eagles really speak to me, man. They're saying, hey, it says Zeke written all over it. Okay, division rival, coming with a chip on his shoulder. Oh, you don't want me anymore? You want that guy? Okay, sounds good. I'm just going to run for 100 yards, 200 yards on you guys two times a year now. The Jets, I don't think is going to happen. The Bengals would be very interesting if it happened. But man, I guess they just got Orlando Brown. This is an interesting situation because these three teams are just shockers to me. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about Jason Brown. I probably missed his name. I know who Coach JB is. Love that show, Last Chance U. If that's what you're talking about, I know who he is. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because he holds his own show as well. So Zeke could be on the move here. Well, not could be. He is going to be on the move. He's a free agent. I mean, somebody's going to sign Ezekiel Elliott, but he's narrowed it down to the Eagles, the Jets, the Bengals. I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out and what direction these teams decide to go in because Joe Mixon, he was just, proved not guilty for something because remember there was that standoff with sheriff department outside his house. I don't really know the whole details of it. I kind of stayed away from it and just said, okay, yeah, we'll see how this ends up panning out. But Joe Mixon and Zeke, God, that'd be a dynamic duo. And then you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd to throw to. I don't know if Tyler Boyd's still there. But Zeke, three teams, Eagles, Jets, Bengals, that he's narrowed it down to. All right. The Giants also made a couple moves, 2 moves to be exact. We'll talk about both of them right here. They just continue to build their roster and try to give Daniel Jones the best chance to succeed, right? He signed that 4-year, $40 million a year deal or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head what the deal was for sure. Let me scroll up, see if I can see it. God, I got a lot of pictures. I got to go through here and just delete everything at some point because I have way too many. Eventually, it's going to come to a point where I have no room. We talked about it, didn't we? No, nope. I think I just did a video on it. Okay, that makes sense. But the Giants are making moves. Zeke to the Bengals? Wouldn't it be interesting, though? Wouldn't that be very interesting, Daniel? I'm pumped. I can't wait. He said by the end of next week, you're going to know where he wants to sign. It's just, does the team want to sign there? So that means he's going to be working hard. Maybe that's by the end of next week, we'll know exactly, hey, I'm signing a contract with yada yada. Okay? And that's kind of how it goes. But he's on the move. But the Giants continue to make more and more moves, helping that offense, helping that defense. They're moving in the right direction as it seems. They made a big signing today on the offensive side of the ball by signing, per Ari Mirov, veteran wide receiver Jamison Crowder is signing with the New York Giants, per Josina Anderson. Another weapon for Danny Dimes. Now, if we look up Jamison Crowder's stats here, I'm pretty sure he performed exceptionally well. He was a decent receiver. Last year with Buffalo, he didn't play at all, okay? 6 catches, 60 yards. I believe he was hurt. But when he was with the Jets, that's where he really started to find his zone and get into a rhythm at least a little bit, where his best season, his best season with the Jets was 2020, 2019, 833 yards, 6 tutties. He's only dipped below 10 yards per catch one time in his career, and that was in 2021 with the Jets, had 8.8 yards per reception. Didn't really do too much that year, but Jamison Crowder's I think he's a good wide receiver. Plus, the Giants seem to have issues at the wide receiver. Sterling Shepard can't stay healthy to save his life. Kenny Golladay was an absolute nightmare to deal with. Darius Slayton, I mean, that dude is a dog, okay? I'm pumped that they re-signed him for at least, 2 years? 2 years. Let's see how good my eyes are here. I know we talked about this one because it was a pretty big signing. I just got to make sure I remember what it looked like. Oh, yeah, Danny Dimes, 4-year, $160 million. Nice. Yep, that's what it was. I knew I could find it. See, sometimes you just got to go back and check it twice. See if you're naughty or nice. What did Darius Slayton sign for? I know there it is. Boom. Yeah, Darius Slayton signed 2-year, $12 million base value. He can make up to $16.5 million. So they locked him up. That's fantastic. 46 catches, 724 yards. Bada bing, bada boom. So Darius Slayton's probably the most consistent on that team. You're looking at Jamison Crowder potentially being the third wide receiver. Maybe 2. He'll start the season off as the third receiver on their depth chart. And then if Sterling Shepard just can't stay healthy yet again, he'd bounce up to that number 2, obviously. But this is a good signing. This is a smart signing, I believe, by the New York Giants organization. They're trying to get back on the right track, trying to find these weapons for Daniel Dimes. But that's not the only thing they're doing. No. They are doing more. Exactly. He needed option, and he's got it. Exactly, boxing. Perfect wordage right there. But defensively, the Giants are also making moves. They made another one today. This is per Jordan Schultz. Free agent cornerback Amani Oruwariye, I believe I said his name right, is signing a 1-year deal with the New York Giants, as sources tell at The Score. Oruwariye had 6 interceptions in 2021, as well as 11 pass breakups and 2 tackle for losses. Former Lions corner finds a new home in New York. So he balled out. He played fantastic last year. I think the end of the season was a lot better than the beginning of the year. I think he had a lot of mistakes. I think he had a lot of mistakes in general. Like not too many, but it was to the point where it was like kind of like brain farts. Right? You're on your toes. You're making these plays left and right. You're looking really good. Then all of a sudden, bam, you get beat over the top. You're like, what are we doing? or like something like that, or there's just confusion on the defensive side of things. He makes a little mistake, a little hiccup here and there. But I really like this signing for the Giants. I believe they lost a couple people in free agency on their secondary. I could be completely wrong on that, but at the same time, they needed to build it. They needed to make it better and give their team a better chance to go further in the playoffs. Remember this year, unfortunately, they steamrolled my Minnesota Vikings. That was a bummer to watch. Did not like it. Didn't enjoy it. But it is what it is. But basically all these moves are set for the Giants to go deeper into the playoffs. Okay, they know they're a playoff team. Saquon's still there. Danny Dimes is still there. They have the weapons. They're just trying to build it so it's a little bit better than last year. And that's exactly what they're doing with these two moves, signing wide receiver Jamison Crowder. The details of that contract has not come out yet. I believe it's probably just a one-year contract if I had to guess. And Amani Oruwariye also signing a one-year deal. Not really sure of the whole full compensation. But when we do get the compensation, if it pops up by the time this show ends, we will talk about it. What? Department piece at corner? What do you mean? What do you mean? But yeah, those are the two signings from the New York Giants. Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. Good for them, getting some more weapons for Danny Dimes and a defensive weapon at the cornerback spot with Amani Oruwariye. All right. So there's been a couple proposals that has been flying around. We talked about, nope, that was a different thing. But if you don't know what the proposals are, it's just basically things to make the game a little bit better. How can we evolve? How can we, be safer? How can the players have more fun? Stuff like that. The NFL Competition Committee has came up with a proposal. Now, there's this one, and then the Eagles also had a proposal as well. So we'll talk about both of these right now. So let's get right to it. The NFL Competition Committee, this is per Ari Mirov, who said the NFL Competition Committee has proposed putting the ball on the 25-yard line when a touchback occurs on a punt. The reasoning? Competitive equity, consistency, and player safety. Okay. My initial thoughts on this is I like it, but at the same time, I don't. Because, yes, punters and kickers, they have one job. They kick the ball, okay? And nobody really cares about them. They never get paid that much money. They're just there. However, punting is so crucial, very, very crucial in the National Football League because you have the opportunity to take a team and pin them back at the 1-yard line, at the 5-yard line, whatever the case may be. I believe if it's a touchback, don't they get the ball at like the 20? So maybe they're taking less strain out on the punt returns or something like that. But I don't know, man. Like, this is just confusing. Because if the ball's on the 20 after a touchback, if you punt it in the back of the end zone, you get the ball at the 20, you're just going to move it up 5 yards so your players can get a little bit more of a break. Wouldn't that help the offense? That would completely... The defense would have no help there. Like, that's bad news for the defense. I don't think this gets passed. I don't. I really don't. Because you're giving them 5 more yards after the punter just basically just booted the ball. Like, maybe you could look at it as it's a, how do you want to say it? Like, maybe it's, God, I can't find this word right now. Oh, that's going to bug me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't believe I can't think of this word. Like, oh my goodness. You can help me out if you want, but like it maybe it's just a bad thing for them or like a repercussion for the punter kicking it into the end zone. Kind of the right word, but I'm looking for a different one. It is what it is. Whatever. We'll move forward. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think they should put it on the 25 or just keep it at the 20? If I'm a defensive player in the National Football League and I see this, I'm saying, oh, hell nah. Ain't a chance. Not happen. Okay? It's just not happening. Plain and simple. But if I'm on the offensive side of things, I'm like, yeah, Yeah, 5 more yards. Absolutely move that ball up. Absolutely. So there's some give and take here. I don't know, but this is proposed putting the ball on the 25-yard line when a touchback occurs on a punt. I'm not sure how much more this would, or how much more this would help player safety. Maybe for the fact that it, like, when they kick or when they punt the ball, they'll just let it roll into the end zone as a touchback, as opposed to just catching it, fair catching it, stuff like that. I don't think that needs to be changed. Nothing about the punting needs to be changed. Kicking, you could change a little bit to where there's no more ties in the National Football League, because that's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I hate ties. Ties absolutely drive me nuts. Like, if you got in a boxing match, okay, are you going to want to win, lose, or tie? I'd rather win or lose. Did I win? Did I knock him out? Did I win by decision? Did I get knocked out? Did I lose by decision? What can I do better? But no, you fight for 3 rounds. You think you're getting him. You won round 1 for sure. He won round 2. Third round is kind of a little dicey. Who's taking home the gold? Oh, it ends in a draw. What? No, absolutely. Like, I do not like ties. They're a bunch of, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. They need to get rid of it. I hate ties. Absolutely hate ties. But that is a little piece of information. I'm going to go to this slide. I'm going to answer that. Daniel has a question. He says, what should the Vikings do at receiver? Okay. So I really wanted McCole Hardman before he signed with the Jets. I just thought that would have been a perfect wide receiver 3 option. Him, KJ Osborne, and Justin Jefferson, right? That didn't happen. He signs with the Jets. So then there was DJ Chark. Maybe we bring him in from the Detroit Lions. That's probably not going to happen. And it didn't, because we'll talk about him later today or later during the show. So really what I'm looking at right now is we have some young guys. We signed Brandon Powell, but he's going to be a kick return / punt returner. Came over from the Rams, was coached by KOC with the Los Angeles Rams. But right now, if you're a Minnesota Viking, right, you have Jalen Naylor, young guy. This will be his second year. You still have Jalen Reagor under contract, okay? So you should be fine. There's probably a couple other guys that I'm missing, so sorry if I do. But there's speculation of us potentially drafting a wide receiver round 1. I don't see that happening unless there's a corner that's a stud and available, which, by the way, this draft class is like loaded with cornerback talent, okay? So you can take one in round 1, round 2, round 3 probably and be just fine. But if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm looking at the situation going, how many corners are available? When's our next pick? When they have their selection. Okay, if there's still a deep amount and you still think you can get a guy or a certain guy at one of those draft picks, then you go wide receiver. You go Zay Flowers, or you go that Jackson Smith from Ohio State if he's available. But if the wide receivers are basically gone and there's no one to select from, you have to go corner. Or unless there's a guy you really fell in love with, the Vikings have to go corner. But receiver, I think you just draft somebody or you promote within the building. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Or hey, OBJ's on the market. Okay? OBJ's on the market. Justin Jefferson, OBJ, KJ Osborne, don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Remember, he doesn't want $20 million a year. It's a rumor. He said, I want to see the text that says I wanted $20 million, because that all I said is 4 ain't enough, okay? I need more moolah than that. So OBJ to the Vikes, I mean, come on over. It's nice and warm over here. No, it's not really. But we have an indoor stadium. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't see that happening. He's probably going to end up a New York Jet if I had to assume. But the Vikings have some decisions to make at wide receiver. I don't think it's necessarily a number priority. I think DB, corner, is a priority. Then you're looking at the linebacker position as a priority. And then lastly, you're probably looking at your offensive line. Need a right guard. Ed Ingram, yes, it was his first year last season, so we never know. This year too could be phenomenal. But you need to address it, at least address it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there on those terms. But back to the proposals. Okay, there was also another proposal. This was from the Philadelphia Eagles. This one's a very interesting one. I like it just because we'll talk about it right here. I'm going to get this pulled up for you guys. They also made a proposal. Remember, all these are voted on at like the owners meeting or something like that. I'm not sure when it's taken place. I think it's either before the NFL draft or directly after the NFL draft. I think it's before, because then you know what these, like, I'm not sure. I'm not going to lie about anything, so I won't say anything. But the Eagles' proposal, per Ari Mirov, the Eagles made a proposal to require game clocks to display tenths of seconds for the final 30 seconds of each half. Rich McKay, chairman of the competition committee, says there is support for the idea and there will be ongoing discussions next week at the league meetings. Okay, so next week is the league meetings. Nice. So they'll discuss it at the league meetings. The owner meeting, I'm pretty sure that's when they'll vote on it. I think it has to get like a 2/3 vote of yes to actually pass. I will say I really like this. I do. Because you see that 5.8 right there? In basketball, right, there's 5.8 seconds left. You shoot, boom, ball goes in the net. But hold on, there's 0.2 seconds left in the game. Where in the NFL, clock hits 0, game over. You don't know how many tenths of seconds there are. 0, that's the ball game. But if you're trying to move the ball down the field, right, you're throwing a Hail Mary, you're just in field goal range. Let's say you throw a Hail Mary, okay? There's like 10 seconds left when you snap the ball. You boom, you huck it downfield, you get in a field goal range, you go down, there's 0.3 seconds to kick a field goal. It's timeout, boom. Then you set up, you kick the field goal with 0.3 seconds to go. You have a better chance of winning. So I like it for that aspect. I think they should pass this. What do you guys think? Do you like this? Do you like this idea? I would say I love it. Makes a lot of sense. I think it would make the game a lot more interesting. I really do. Because then, could you imagine, it's the Super Bowl, your team needs a field goal to win, and you have to do that, and like there's 0.4 seconds left on the clock, you call a timeout right in the nick of time, like that would be a lot of fun to watch. Like you'd be at the edge of your chair like, oh God, they got, call a timeout, oh thank God, 0.4 seconds, let's go. All right, we got a chance. We got a chance here. I really like it. Pablo, what's up, my guy? He says I like this idea as well. I think it'd be smart. I really do. So I hope this one gets passed. The punting one, the proposal for the punt, or it's a touchback, you put it at the 25 instead of the 20. I don't think that gets passed. I think you just kind of move forward and keep it the way it has been. Okay, it is what it is. So those are the two proposals that we have seen so far. But in other news, the Denver Broncos are looking into the potential possibility to either upgrade their stadium or build a brand new one. They're doing some research, seeing what it would take, seeing where the options would be if they had to move the stadium, because you'd have to tear down this one, or you just basically abandon it and move it somewhere else. Now, shout out to Gage Madrid, who's the host of the Denver Broncos Syndicate. He is a season ticket holder there. I think if I remember right, I asked him about this because this was a topic of discussion like during the season. They were talking about the Broncos potentially doing this, upgrading their stadium or rebuilding it. He's like, I don't think they need to rebuild it, if I remember correctly, but he said that an upgrade would be nice because I think they upgraded a little bit a couple years ago and it made a huge difference. Now, if you imagine if you upgraded just a tad bit more, brand new amenities, brand new bathrooms, stuff like that, concession stands, all redone, make the experience that much better, I don't think you need to rebuild unless you want to compete with the other people. I mean, I guess they could rebuild because they have the richest owner. I believe if not the richest owner, one of the richest owners in the National Football League with the Walter Penner group. So the Walter family, obviously, or Walton family, excuse me, owns Walmart and stuff. So they got a lot of money. So they can do whatever the hell they want, and they're going to, okay? But they are looking up. They are looking up potential possibilities of rebuilding or upgrading their stadium. What's up, A-Rules? How are we doing? All right, so we can kind of go through it. Didn't miss too much. You kind of did, but no. So yesterday I took off because had to pick up a package. Don't mind if I do myself. I really wanted this necklace or this chain, excuse me. So Had to go pick it up, and I had to drive 45 minutes to go get it, and then 45 minutes back. I was back by like 6. I thought about going live, but I was like, I'm just gonna chill and just go through everything. But let's see. So the Packers signed a linebacker, actually re-signed him. He was on their team for the last half of the season. Justin Hollins to a 1-year deal. Tony Pollard officially signed his franchise tag. He gets about $10 million, almost $11 million for that. But they also have till July 17 to negotiate a long-term deal. Absolutely. Iced up. Have to get your fix pendant to put on here. GYF. Be sick. Be cool. But yeah, Tony Pollard, Cowboys could come to a long-term deal, but it has to be done by July 17th. We'll see. He had like 1,007 yards last year, 9 tutties. That's why they got rid of Zeke and stuff like that. So good for him. The Giants got Jamison Crowder at wide receiver, and they also got a new DB or a new corner in Amani Oruwariye to a 1-year deal as well. Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott has narrowed down his team options. I'll pull that up for you real quick. These were his team options, where he narrowed his options down to the Eagles, the Jets, the Bengals, and he said he would like to make a decision about where to sign by the end of next week. So we kind of talked about a little bit, like all 3 of these options were decent. The Bengals was a little shocker just because they still have Joe Mixon. So, but that 1-2 punch, very crucial. We talked about you need that one bowling ball type of guy who's just like how the Bengals had Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. That was a perfect duo, but now you add Zeke in there. I think Ezekiel Elliott's probably better than Samaje Perine in my eyes, at least at this point in their careers. So I like that. The Jets, maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen unless you're trying to get Aaron Rodgers in the building to kind of lure him in. Because they have Breece Hall. They just re-signed Ty Johnson. They should be okay. But the Eagles was a cool one because they have Rashad Penny. Remember, they signed him this offseason, let go of Miles Sanders. I think they still have Boston Scott, if I'm not mistaken. Probably wrong on that, so you can correct me if I am. But the Eagles would be a fun one. Same division rivals, right? Chip on your shoulder. Oh, you let me go? You let me go. Okay, sounds good. I'm just going to run for 100, 200 yards on you twice a year, every year, as long as I'm a Philadelphia Eagle. So that would make a lot of sense, but those are his 3 teams, narrowed down: the Eagles, the Jets, and the Bengals. We also talked about an NFL proposal where the National Football League competition committee basically proposed putting the ball at the 25-yard line when a touchback occurs on a punt. Now, the reasoning, he says, competitive equity, consistency, player safety. I say this is good for the offense, bad for the defense. If you're a defensive player in the National Football League, you look at this and you go, no. You put the ball at the 20, like it's been done, okay, for many years, and move along. But the offense, if you're an offensive guy, you're like, of course, give us 5 more yards. Makes it easier. We don't have to go as far. But I don't know. I don't like that move. Yeah, exactly. See, A-Rose, that was my whole reasoning. Like, I really don't see a difference. You're going to move it up 5 yards? Plus, punting's so crucial. If you can pin him back, if you punt it out of the end zone, it's like a repercussion of, oh, hey, shame on you. Can't do that. So I think you just keep the punting how it is. Don't change anything up. And then they went... yeah. Could you imagine? Touchback, all right, ball's at the 10. Now, if you're a defensive guy, you go, oh, hell yeah. Well, absolutely put the ball at the 10. Perfect punt. Shout out to the punter. Because then the punter would just punt it out of the end zone every single time. Every single time you just punt out of the end zone, ball at the 10. How you doing? Keep it moving. That one ain't going to get changed. The Eagles also made a proposal. You might have caught the end of it, where we talked about that require game clocks to display tenths of seconds for the final 30 seconds of each half. Rich McKay, chairman of the competition committee, says there is support for the idea and there will be ongoing discussions next week at league meetings. So I really like this. I'm all for it. I think it makes a lot of sense. We talked about it. I don't know if you were here for the end of it, but it's like, oh, your team's down 2 points. You need a field goal to win. Okay, you have 10 seconds left on the clock. You throw a deep bomb. Boom. You're in field goal range. You go down, and everyone in the stands like, call timeout, call timeout. They get the timeout on, or they get the timeout called. Boom, there's 0.4 seconds left on the clock for you to kick a field goal. Whereas compared to nowadays, to how the NFL is right now, as soon as that clock hits 0, it's over. 1-0, done. Okay, there's no tenths of second. But imagine if you get 0.4 seconds. Makes the game that much more interesting. Makes the fans want to die of a heart attack that much more. Okay, because you're like, oh, great. 0.4 seconds, he's going to make it. We lose. Stuff like that. But I think it would make the game a lot more interesting. A lot more interesting. No. So this is just all has to do with the clock. Yeah. So they wouldn't get sued for this. They can't. It's literally just the time clock. Like, how would you want to go about doing your business? I'm all for it. I like it. Because high school does this, not for football and stuff like that. I think it'd be smart. I think it'd be really smart. I hope it gets passed. If there is support for the idea, great. But I think they still need 2/3 to vote on this yes. That's what it boils down to. And I am all for it. All for it. I just want to see how more interesting the games get, because then you're gonna start seeing fans potentially, not drastically, but stay for the whole game or watch the whole game. You don't think there's any sense behind it? I do. I don't know, because like NBA for the instance, I mean, it's a little harder because as soon as you touch the ball, the clock starts. But like, you know, when you have like 0.5 seconds left and you have one opportunity to hit a full court shot, you let it roll out a little bit, boom, you grab it, toss it up, and you have a chance to win. It's kind of like that scenario where you just don't know. It probably won't get passed, but it is what it is. It's just kind of a proposal that they have made to potentially happen. Not going to happen, but potentially going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Clock hits 0, game over. Should have beat us when he could, or could have. But yeah, it rules. I got the view count thing working. See that? Boom. Don't know what happened yesterday, but we got that sucker working. That is all that matters. That is all that matters. All right, in other news, the Eagles continue to do Eagle things and sign literally everybody back that they had last year. I thought their offensive line was going to be atrocious. I thought Jason Kelce was going to retire. I thought Lane Johnson was going to say see you later. I thought a lot of people were going to be like, okay, we're done. We're retiring. We're old. However, that's not the case. Eagles are flocking in heavy. They are coming back, and they're ready to run it back. Speaking of Lane Johnson, per Adam Schefter, the Eagles are giving All-Pro right tackle Lane Johnson a 1-year, $33.445 million contract extension, including $30 million guaranteed per source. He's now under contract through 2026. Johnson hasn't surrendered a sack the past 2 seasons, even playing last postseason with a torn adductor. Great. Hasn't allowed a sack in 2 seasons. Jalen Hurts is straight up balling, probably going to win MVP. They still haven't had those awards, have they? No, they haven't. That's coming up. The award ceremony is coming up. But God, they're going to be good. They're going to be really good. Yeah, they lost a couple pieces, Terrell Edmonds. Not Terrell Edmonds. TJ Edwards, and Tremaine. Or somebody, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is gone. They lost some pieces, okay? But they kept basically everybody around. They're looking to run it back. It seems like that's going to be the case. Kind of seems like that is going to be the case. So congrats to Lane Johnson and the Eagles reaching an agreement on a 1-year, $33.44 million contract, 30 of that guaranteed. Oh, my God. A rule says, do we have any backups since Duke Shelley went to Vegas? I mean, not really. If you haven't, I highly recommend you go watch my video today from Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. I kind of laid it out. I said target has to be on a corner or something like that. We have to find a corner because we have right here. Byron Murphy Jr. starting, Andrew Booth Jr. starting, and a Caleb Evans starting. We only have Tay Gowan and Kalen Barnes as our backups. Not great. I mean, he didn't leave us. He was a free agent. Duke Shelley was a free agent. So he had the opportunity to come back. I seen a rumor. It's completely a rumor. Probably not true, but I did see it. So allegedly, the Vikings did offer Duke Shelley a $1.2 million contract. Allegedly. Not saying that that actually happened, okay? But if it did, that means he got, he wanted more money elsewhere, or he just didn't want to play for us. That's kind of what it boiled down to. So that means the Vikings, when I first seen that, boom, we're drafting one. Has to be draft pick number 1. Okay, round 1, pick 24. You select any corner that is available, or you select the one you're most in love with, or you select the one that's probably going to be the best. All right, you have to. Or you go out in free agency and you sign another guy. And I talked about Rocky Ya-Sin from the Las Vegas Raiders, was drafted by the Colts. Excuse me, he seems to be a physical guy. He's an aggressive guy, and that's like the type of person that Brian Flores wants in his secondary. Yeah, we are losing too many good people, but at the same time, man, I think we're headed in the right direction. I like what Kwesi's been doing. I like what KOC brings to the table. We can replace those pieces. It is what it is. We're always going to be fighters. We're always going to be contenders. We just have to figure out a way to get there. Plus, next year, we're like top 10 in cap space and stuff. I mean, we have a lot of money coming our way, and the salary cap is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. Do I like the playoff rules? I'm not sure what you mean by that. All the rules are the same. I mean, if you're talking about the format, yes, I like it. I do. Oh, you're talking about the overtime, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because if you're talking about the overtime, I think I enjoy it. I enjoy it. The Vikings are like my Cowboys, can't win the biggest games. Absolutely, Pablo. Absolutely. See, I'm sorry you're a Cowboys fan, because I call them the entertainment team, because you hear so much stuff about them. You hear so much shit. It's like, oh, it's our year, and then they just never do anything. So I'm like, okay, it's entertaining to watch. I don't know if it's America's team, but I call them the entertainment team. No shots, I just kind of, that's just my funny word or funny saying about it. But, I mean, so are the Vikings. We're always so damn good, or basically almost always good. And then we just get to the biggest moment, and we absolutely lay a big old dud. Nobody shows up, play like shit, can't get wins. It's kind of how it is. It is what it is. So, and you guys crushed us this year. Absolutely crushed us this year. Sounds like XFL. XFL is fun, man. Daniel, XFL is a blast to watch. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend it. It's on ESPN Plus. It's on Fox. And I also do the live streams for it, play by play. I'm not sure if you popped in. You might have one of them. But they are a blast, my guy. They are an absolute hoot. Absolute hoot. All right. Moving forward, there's more to talk about in the National Football League. The Lions have re-signed their backup quarterback, Nate Sudfeld. So they have Jared Goff as their starter. This is a good move. Not much else to say about it besides they got their backup. You go in the season with 3. There was rumors that the Detroit Lions are potentially looking at quarterbacks, maybe going to select one. But I don't see that happening. Maybe they wait a year. And if they do select one, it's going to be in round 2, round 3 or something like that. I could definitely see that. But the Lions re-signed backup quarterback Nate Sudfeld. Good for him. Good for him. Shout out to everyone watching, by the way. I appreciate it. I really do. Make sure to drop that like and subscribe, man. If you're new to this channel, we talk all things NFL related. We're 1 sub away from 260, and it would be fantastic if we can hit that tonight. And I got to make sure I'm at 259. And if I am, I'll be a little bummed. I'm just kidding. But if you're already subbed, let's go. I appreciate all you. All right, let's move forward. The Chiefs, again, are straight dominant, and they made 2 signings today, back-to-back, basically, right off the get-go, where they added, let's see if I can pull it up. So both the signings are in this picture. We'll start with the bottom one, or we'll start with the top one and work our way to the bottom one. Field Yates says the Chiefs add former Colts defensive tackle Byron Coward, who had 12 tackles in 17 games last season. Depth piece right here. Not going to see the field too much, but when he does, he should be a reliable asset to that defensive line. Good signing for the Chiefs there. Byron Coward, 12 tackles in 17 games last year. And then they also made this re-signing. The Chiefs are re-signing tight end Blake Bell to a 1-year contract. Source said this is his 4th season with Kansas City. So let's go look up what old Blake Bell has been up to, huh? Let's go see how good this guy is. All right, backup, obviously. Travis Kelce, go-to guy. Travis goes down, however. Don't want that to happen. Wish injuries on nobody. It's the worst part of the game. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. But I think he looks like a decent guy. He looks like a decent tight end, man. 20 yards last year, 1 touchdown. His best year was with Dallas in 2020, 110 yards. That was a COVID year. So not terrible. This is just a depth piece add for the Kansas City Chiefs. So good for them. Good for them. Makes 2 signings. Let's go. Let's go. All right, moving on. What did you say? Oh, yeah, Pablo. I read that completely wrong the first time. Yes. Yes, I like Addison with Jefferson. Who? Addison? I'm trying to think. Oh, is he one of the rookies in the draft? I think. But anyways, let's move forward. We got to talk about the Ravens. Yes, with the Ravens. All right, so the Ravens making more moves. They're trying to make it easy on Lamar Jackson to leave. Not really. But Lamar, we'll talk about Lamar at the end, okay? Don't let me forget. There's some interesting news coming out on that front. It's kind of interesting, but we'll talk about it towards the end of the show. But Baltimore Ravens are making some moves. Per Ari Mirov, the Ravens are signing veteran wide receiver Nelson Agholor per @Schultz report. Adam Schefter says the former Patriots wide receiver Nelson Agholor is signing a 1-year, $3.25 million deal that also includes incentives with the Baltimore Ravens per sources. @Schultz report initially reported agreement between the two sides. Shout out to them. Nelson Agholor headed to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the last thing I remember him, he was on the, what was it? He went from did he go from the Eagles to the Raiders? So he was on the Eagles, couldn't catch a ball to save his life, gets shipped out to Las Vegas, I believe, has a pretty decent showing, hey, I can actually play this game, doesn't drop the ball really at all. And then, boom, he goes to New England after 1 season with the Raiders and has back-to-back years of some pretty good seasons. Not great years, okay, but some decent ones, I'd say. In 2021 with New England, 473 yards, 3 tutties. In 22, so last year, 362 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, exactly, Pablo. He's a Baltimore type of player. Not a great wide receiver, but a mid-level guy, right? So Baltimore's trying to get their weapons. They have Mark Andrews at tight end, Rashad Bateman, who needs to stay healthy. Hopefully he's a dog. I think he can be. He just has an opportunity. He needs an opportunity to stay healthy and be on the field, obviously. They got rid of Hollywood Brown, so they kind of stink there. So now they're just stuck with Nelson Agholor and what's his nuts? Just said it. Rashad Bateman. I can't remember who their third guy is. If we're looking at Baltimore Ravens, boom, 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 right there. Oh, yeah, Devin Duvernay. Okay, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and Nelson Agholor is their 1-2-3 punch. And then they still have J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill at their backfield. Okay, I like it. I think this is smart. Good for Baltimore. Good for Baltimore in signing Nelson Agholor, wide receiver, to a 1-year, $3.25 million deal. All right. Now we got some big news. Some big news coming out of the National Football League. The Carolina Panthers are making moves left and right like every single team is, and they just got a little bit better. They got another weapon to give to their number 1 overall pick, whoever it is, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. I don't know who it's going to be, but whoever their quarterback, their franchise quarterback of the future is going to be, is going to have some weapons. Signed Adam Thielen just earlier this week. Have a good one there in Carolina there, Adam. They lose DJ Moore, but they're looking to get back on the right track. They're looking to get there. However, they made a massive signing today. Yes, they did. Adding another one. Per Ian Rappaport, the Panthers aren't done adding on offense, agreeing to terms with wide receiver DJ Chark on a one-year deal. Sources say a complete remake of the Carolina offense is underway, and Chark will be a big part, as will their new rookie quarterback, whoever that may be. Most likely going to be CJ Stroud. We talked about that the other day. He had a private meeting with them, stuff like that. There was also a video of where AJ McCarron, I believe, who's their quarterback coach or one of the coaches on the team, said we have to do something or we have to get together or something like that. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that sometime. He's like, yeah, we're doing it in Carolina. He's like, oh, okay. So sounds like CJ Stroud's going to be their quarterback, but DJ Chark gets added to that roster with Adam Thielen. And Hayden Hurst was also added as well. The Panthers have had a busy, I'm talking very, very busy offseason. Look at all these moves. This is an updated look at the Panthers offseason so far per Ari Mirov. Hired head coach Frank Reich, okay, needed to do it. Great hiring. They traded for the number 1 overall pick. All right, not too shabby. You're going to get C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. They signed running back Miles Sanders. Then they get DJ Chark just now. They got Adam Thielen at wide receiver. They signed tight end Hayden Hurst. On the backside, they get the safety Von Bell. They signed Andy Dalton to be the potential backup, the kind of the vet to show the rookie the way, how it's supposed to be done and stuff like that. Re-signed center Bradley Bozeman, and then they signed defensive tackle Shai Tuttle. No, he will not. No, we talked about that yesterday, where this guy, Steve Apostolopoulos, I don't know how to say his name, but he's probably looking to buy it. But the Panthers have been busy this offseason, man. I'm excited to see what they can do, but I'm not excited for the fact that I bet I bet my boss at where I work, other than this, okay, this is my job too, work long days. But I bet him, he said, I'll bet you $20 the Carolina Panthers win the division. I was like, oh, okay. Shake my hand, put it there. I'll bet that. So I bet that Carolina is not going to win the division. $20. And I don't want that to happen, but it's looking more and more likely like they might. Atlanta will be Atlanta. We'll see what they can do. They'll probably struggle. Tampa Bay is going to struggle with Baker. It's just because their team's not all together, even though they got some good weapons on offense, so they could maybe do something. Defensively, they look a little shaken around. The Saints, they always seem to be fighters. If they can get that defense going, man, if they can get that defense going in the right direction, I think Derek Carr can do some damage over there. I really do. Watch the Saints bring in OBJ. OBJ, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. That would be interesting. I would like that. No, they're not. They are not, Pablo, at all, unfortunately. But Carolina making a lot of moves. Basically rebuilding, kind of. I wouldn't say rebuilding. I would say rebranding. And by rebranding, it's just new faces. Bring in a lot of new faces. Let's get rid of the old ones. Let's make this our team. Let's get us on the right track. Let's start winning some ball games. And they are doing it in a massive way. Finally, adding another wide receiver, DJ Chark, to a one-year deal. Not sure on the compensation yet. We will look at Twitter here in just a few moments to see if anything has popped up. But that is all you need to know. DJ Chark finds his way to the Carolina Panthers. Way to go. Way to go. All right. Let's see where we're at. Okay. Next up, another good signing. This one is per Ian Rappaport. If I can find it. There we go. The Eagles are signing former Steelers first-round safety Terrell Edmonds. Sources say their second safety added in the last week after allowing C.J. Gardner-Johnson to head to Detroit. He gets a one-year deal. And I don't know too much about him, but I know he plays pretty decent, I think. I should have wrote that down. I forgot. Okay. Well, what are we doing here? What happened? Just said nope. All right, so last year, 41 solo tackles, 5 pass deflections. He's not gonna overwhelm you by any means. Damn, he's the same age as me. What in the world? Or almost the same age as me. But I like it, man. This is a good signing for Philly. Lose their safeties. They needed new additions. Not sure the compensation, probably cheap, but Terrell Edmunds is a Philadelphia Eagle. All right. On another note, the Browns make another move. Per Field Yates. The Browns are signing former Seahawks wide receiver Marquise Goodwin to a one-year deal per source. After trading for Elijah Moore, Cleveland adds a second wide receiver this week. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Marquise Goodwin. Oh my goodness. David Njoku at tight end. Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Nick Chubb in the backfield. Ooh-wee. I'm liking what the Browns are building. Hopefully they can figure it out. Hopefully that offensive line holds, protects Deshaun Watson a little bit more because he didn't have a great season last year. And hopefully that defense can head in the right direction. Marquise Goodwin heading to Cleveland. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Good for him. Getting some more money. That's all it's about. Making money. All right. Last little thing of information before we hop on to Twitter. We'll talk about that Lamar Jackson situation, and then we'll see what all that we have missed up to this point. All right, the Broncos. We talked about them potentially rebuilding their new stadium or upgrading their stadium, whatever the case may be. But they were in works for a receiver this offseason. They didn't know who. They didn't know what they were going to do. There was talks of them potentially trading Jerry Jeudy or Tim Patrick or Cortland Sutton or whatever the case is. They were trying to trade one of them. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen, but they do add another receiver to that depth chart. I think it's a decent one. I would like to say it is a decent one. This is per Jeremy Fowler. Source: wide receiver Marquez Callaway plans to sign with the Denver Broncos. Callaway reunites with Sean Payton in 2021. Callaway had a career-high 46 catches, 698 yards, and 6 touchdowns in Payton's offense. I really like this signing. I like this guy. I like this player. We've seen him with Jameis Winston. Was it preseason? Snagged that one-handed catch. I think it was one-handed or whatever. It was a phenomenal catch right at the end of the game. Touchdown. He also did it against the Dallas Cowboys at one point. Sorry, Pablo. Denver needed him big time. But he was a dog, man. When you wanted him to make a catch, he was there. And he was going to do everything possible to come away with it. And I like that about a receiver. The go up and get the ball at the highest point. Don't let it come to you. Don't let the defense kind of knock it away. Callaway is a big-time player. Okay? He has that dog mentality in him. Like, he can go out there and make plays and make things happen, be special. That's kind of what it comes down to. I think he could too. I think he would gel really well with Russell Wilson because he had Jameis, but Russell Wilson's just a step above that. So this will be huge. And I think he's, how tall is he? I want to say he's like 6'3". I could be completely wrong. I'm going to look it up. Marquez Callaway. Let's look up his stats. So last year he didn't have that great of a year. 156 yards, 1 touchdown, but that is okay. Damn, he's only 24 years old. Let's go. 6'2", 204 pounds. Damn, he is a bruiser. I like this. Yeah, Russell's 6'2". Yeah. But Marquez Callaway finds his way to Denver. I like this signing. Let's see what he did. Let's see what he did with the Saints. All right, so in 2020, 213 yards, not too bad. 2021, 698 yards, 6 tutties. Okay, getting a little better. And then last year, 158 yards, 1 tutty. Didn't see the field too much. The Saints were not that great, but this year I think he's going to see the field pretty decently, I believe, with Denver. So good on them. Marquez Callaway finds his way to Denver on a 1-year deal, I believe. All right, talked about everything that we needed that I had written down. Let's put that to the side. Now we got to go to Twitter and tell you what happened with Lamar Jackson or the situation surrounding Lamar Jackson. Okay, because he's an unrestricted free agent, has the opportunity to go seek or to go talk to other teams right now. They can give him an offer. Baltimore has the chance to match that offer, or they can say, nope, receive 2 first-round picks, probably a little bit more from that team, Baltimore, or then Lamar Jackson is out of town. However, there's been a little interesting kind of, not really scandal, but thing going around where some guy is apparently trying to call around and make a deal or get a deal done for Lamar Jackson. Now, if I can get this, okay, right here. All right. God, I always do that. I always swipe right when I'm right there. Okay. God, I was right on it. All right, we're back. Let's see. I'm trying to find, okay, right here. Mike Garafolo said, NFL teams were notified by the league via memo today. A person named Ken Francis may be contacting clubs to enter into negotiations with or concerning Lamar Jackson. Teams are prohibited from negotiating with Francis, who is not an NFLPA certified agent. So when you're an agent, you have to be certified by the National Football League Players Association. You have to. This is the whole conversation with St. Omni, who signed that contract for Laramie Tunsil. Was it 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago he signed it, but it couldn't be done by him. It had to have been said like, oh, it had to be done by Laramie. St. Omni just kind of helped with it or whatever. But this is the same situation. You have to be a certified agent to make deals, to get deals done. You cannot have any contact with another agent outside of it. Okay, you cannot. It just can't happen. So the memo further states, let's see, they have the memo posted right here. It basically lays out, let's go like this. The NFLPA was or has informed us that a person by the name of Ken Francis, who is not an NFLPA certified agent, may be contacting clubs and attempting to persuade club personnel to enter into negotiations with or concerning Lamar Jackson, who is currently under a non-exclusive franchise tender with the Baltimore Ravens. As an uncertified person, Mr. Francis is prohibited from negotiating offer sheets or player contracts or discussing potential trades on behalf of any NFL player or prospective player or assisting in or advising with respect to such negotiations. Clubs are reminded that under Article 48 of the NFL collective bargaining agreement, an offer sheet which may result in an NFL player contract may only be negotiated with the player if he is acting on his own behalf or with the player's NFLPA's certified agent. To be clear, Mr. Jackson is not currently represented by an NFLPA certified agent. Violation of this rule may result in disapproval of any offer sheet or resulting player contract entered into by Mr. Lamar Jackson and the new club. For additional information, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Okay. So basically, there's this guy that's reaching out to clubs trying to persuade him, hey, get in Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. Why don't you go make him an offer? Okay? He wants this. Go sign him. So we're kind of wondering, like, okay, is this actually real? Like, what's going on? Like, does Lamar finally have an agent, but he's not certified? How is this all working out and stuff like that? Yada, yada, yada. And then Lamar follows it up. I guess, so Ken Francis, kind of a little side note, is a Florida man who most recently was pitching a home fitness invention. I'm told he is now trying to negotiate. Okay, so yeah, that's from Tom Pelissero. But Lamar Jackson quote tweeted the memo, or like not the memo, but like one of the things about Ken Francis, and he said, "Stop lying. That man never tried to negotiate for me." Okay, so now we got a little back and forth. Okay, but we're going a little back and forth right there. So Lamar's like, no, nobody's negotiating for me. I'm my own agent. I'm trying to negotiate this deal. Nobody's talking to anybody. Okay, so then we kind of move forward, and that is basically it. So there's some weird things going around. So Lamar Jackson sweepstakes are heating up, to say the least, but I think there's pressure from other people's. I think this guy, Ken Francis, he was trying to do this to maybe potentially get to be certified by the NFLPA to be an agent, and then kind of wiggle his way into the NFL like atmosphere and stuff like that. I'm not really sure what's going on. But like A Rule said, Lamar Jackson needs to have a deal that he can't refuse. Absolutely. Godfather-like. Absolutely. Lamar Jackson does need to be paid because he deserves it. Needs to be paid more than Deshaun Watson. Sorry. Has to be. All right. Let's see where we are. Okay, so the DJ Chark agreement for the Carolina Panthers, it's a 1-year, $5 million deal with Carolina. Not too bad. DJ Chark's only 27. Hey, I appreciate that, A-Rules. I appreciate it. We're almost finished up right here. Mark Mask says NFL team owners won't necessarily ratify Roger Goodell's pending contract extension at this league meeting. We just haven't gotten around to pinning down the numbers. It's not going to be a problem. Okay, so they're waiting a little bit to officially extend Roger Goodell as the NFL commissioner. The Panthers traded kicker Zane Gonzalez to the San Francisco 49ers. I believe it's a swap of picks in 2025, so not too shabby. I think he's only in his 60s, isn't he, Roger? I don't know. I think Roger can stick around. He's 64. Roger Goodell's 64. So he'll probably have one more contract, ride it out, and then he'll probably retire. Then we'll have a new kind of regime come into the building whenever that is. Whenever that is. But basically, that is all that we have. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like it. He sits down in his basement, in his recliner, eating some peanut M&Ms, and that's what we like to see. That is what we like to see. But anyways, man, shout out to everyone who tuned in. It has been a blast. It's been a busy week. I've had fun. Lots is happening in the National Football League. Signings left and right. There's still going to be more that happen after this show, that happened this weekend. But we're going to be right back at it. Well, not Monday. Monday we'll be doing the XFL stream. We'll be doing the XFL stream on Monday. Tuesday, we'll be doing more information on what happened from today, from right here when we leave right now, all the way till Tuesday when we start the show. It might be a long one. Today was a decent one. But, man, it's been a blast. On your way out, don't forget to drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. And, hey, have a fantastic rest of your day. Put a smile on that face. Go outside for a walk, whatever the case may be. Just be happy. Be as happy as you possibly can. Find your happy place and stay in it. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. We'll see you guys on Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m., XFL. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and you just got your fix with the Wicks.